Of the music scene. He's been covered by Nancy Griffith, Joe Ely, Doug Somm, Jerry Jeff Walker, and Johnny Cash, just to name a few, and just put out his 26th album, Masabi, and he is here to promote that as well as a show at the Mucky Duck tonight. Mr. Tom Russell, welcome to KPFT. How are you today?
Great. Just pulled in to the parking lot with my friend Thad Beckman here on guitar, and it's always worth getting up early in Austin on my birthday to come to KPFT, man. And we heard you beaming all the way down to Columbus.
Very nice.
In our big tour bus, and the groupies and the roadies were really digging your sound and your voice.
Well, very nice. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That's BS.
Now, you have been to KPFT many times before.
Yes, sir. Yes.
But have you really been here on your birthday?
I can't remember, really, to be, I don't remember where I was last year on my birthday, but it could have been, it could have happened. Ask my wife, my psychologist wife, she would know.
Well, I'm glad you made it here, and thanks for coming into Wide Open Spaces. I know you've been here on the weekend many times before, but welcome to the program. You have a master's degree in criminology. Did you ever?
Where do you find this stuff?
Did you ever use that? Did you ever go out into the field?
Yeah, I taught 1 year in West Africa in 1969 during the Biafran War, and the last record, Blood and Candle Smoke, has 2 songs about that. One is called Criminology, I did with Calexico, and the other is called East of Woodstock, West of Vietnam, about just talking about my year in Nigeria and getting guns pointed at me and this and that. And go ahead.
You grew up in California, and in 1969, it seemed like most folks were trying to get to California, especially in their early 20s. But you took off. Tell me about.
Sort of like when South by Southwest happens, I leave town.
Right.
Same thing with the hippie movement, the whole thing. I'm kind of a loner, anarchistic type artist. By now, I figured that out, which is why we live in El Paso and Switzerland.
Did you get a job in Africa? And that's what drew you out?
I had a degree, and my friend Bill Chambliss, a very well-known criminologist, sociologist, had a Rockefeller grant to teach there for a year, and nobody would go to West Africa because of the war, and he asked me if I would go, and I hardly even knew where it was, and I said yes, and it really opened my eyes. And basically, though, I played a lot of guitar over there and decided academic life wasn't for me, really.
Right. And so then it was Spain, Norway?
Yeah, I lived in Spain a couple months and have always been attached to that culture. In fact, Thad and I just played Bilbao and Pamplona in December. And Norway has always been special. In fact, I can announce it now that our next record that we were just listening to in the car is a live concert, Thad and myself playing with a 32-piece Norwegian wind ensemble.
Very nice.
Some of my songs off the last 2 records in St. Olaf's Gate. Yeah, it's a new sound, really, the 2 acoustic guitars with a 32-piece horn orchestra. And it's going to be called Aztec Jazz. A new form of Americana will be hitting the airwaves, and
very nice.
And that should be out by June, July. We hope to do the Letterman show again in August with that one.
And you've done that 5 times over the last few years.
Yeah.
Okay, very nice.
Okay,
so you're taking it back 40 years, going back to Norway. Are you going to take it back 40 years and do a Puerto Rican circus album as well?
Wow, you have done your homework. You know, I really did sum that up in a song called The Road to Bayamon, about my 2 months, I believe it was, in a Puerto Rican circus. And I was in very good shape back then for lots of reasons. But I had been living in New York, driving taxi, and the famous story ensued later about picking up Robert Hunter, the Grateful Dead lyricist, who really got me back into the music business. But prior to that, I had gone to Puerto Rico and was an urban cowboy singer in a carnival down there. A friend of mine owned a carnival, and they had a Puerto Rican disco band back me up, and it was just gunfire and hell. And I had my own old Martin D18 guitar down there, and it got shot. Somebody put a pistol in the sound hole and blew the back out of it when I was off stage somewhere. So all this kind of stuff happened, and looking back at it, you see it as very colorful, you know, but back then I didn't think so. But a lot of this stuff is in, I should mention, my book of songs just came out. 120 Songs of Tom Russell was published 2 months ago by Bangtail Press in Montana, and we'll have some with us at the Mucky Duck tonight, and it's also available on Amazon or tomrussell.com. But there's a lot of these stories in there.
And yeah, it's 120 songs. You have all the lyrics, and then you do a little story about how some of those songs originated.
And then I have the guitar chords set there on the side because people want to see that. And then there's a long introduction about I'm jogging my mind about why I got into songwriting and sneaking in to see the Beatles in 1964 and sneaking in to meet Dylan a couple times. And those are pretty funny stories, I think. I was a gate crasher because I didn't have the bread, you know, to see all these, my heroes, Jack Elliott and the Beatles, and I actually got to meet most of them, and then the stories are pretty good.
That's cool. You just mentioned Raymond and Jack Elliott and how you saw one of his shows early on in your career. How does it feel to be covered by one of your favorites?
Well, tremendous, you know, but I do say in the book that I'm honored when anybody learns a song or covers my song. I really am. But when somebody like Johnny Cash does a song or two, or Ramblin' Jack and I did a duet, and or I ended up writing quite a few cowboy songs with the great Ian Tyson, who was a hero of mine. And both Ian and Ramblin' Jack were best men at our wedding in Elko a couple years ago. That means a lot to me after working so long, 40 years trying to write songs. And I'm... you know, I don't put age on art or anything, but to me, to grow up in that era, which is a timeless era of being able to actually see the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Bob Dylan and Ian Tyson, Ramblin' Jack Elliott, and get to know some of them, to me it was the age of masters, you know. To me it was like knowing Picasso or Van Gogh, man. So it means a lot to me, those cats, you know.
Very nice. We're talking to Tom Russell live in the KPFT studio. He is playing tonight over at the Mucky Duck, and the show starts at 7:30. And it is one show, and you can still get tickets online, I would imagine, at the door.
I think there's standing room, you know.
Okay, a few left.
Yeah, they should try to get in. Or if I could, I'd give away 10 tickets right now. I never know whether I have the facility to do that, but there is standing room available, and we'll be over there hanging out around 6:30 or so.
Well, we're going to talk about the new record, and we're going to talk to your guitar player, Thad Beckman, here in a minute as well. But what are you guys going to sing for us first today?
It's a song I've been opening up with because it centers me, and it's kind of a prayer. It's called Guadalupe, about Our Lady of Guadalupe, and Gretchen Peters does a lovely version of this song. And she played it for Emmy Lou a few months ago, and Emmy Lou loved it, which was nice. But... it's a song about hanging out in the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City, and I usually say it's not a song about religion so much as about just spirit and the this Mexican icon that never went away. There are ghosts out in the rain tonight, high up in those ancient trees. Lord, I've given up without a fight. Another blind fool on his knees. And all the gods that I've abandoned, yeah, begin to speak in simple tongue. Lord, suddenly I've come to know there are no roads left to run. Now it's the hour of dogs a-barking, yeah. That's what the old ones used to say. It's first light, then it's sundown, before the children cease their play. When the mountains glow like mission wine, then turn gray like a Spanish rum, 10,000 eyes will stop to worship, then turn away and head on home. And she is reaching out her arms tonight. And Lord, my poverty is real, and I pray roses shall rain down on me from Guadalupe on her hill. But who am I to doubt these mysteries, cured in centuries of blood and candle smoke? I am the least of all your children here, but I am most in need of hope. Hey, hey. She appeared to Juan Diego, and she left her image on his cape. 500 years of sorrow have not destroyed their deepest faith. But here I am, your ragged disbeliever. Old doubting Thomas drowns in tears as I watched your church sink through the earth like a heart worn down through fear. And she is reaching out her arms tonight. And Lord, my poverty is real, and I pray roses shall rain down on me from Guadalupe on her hill. But who am I to doubt these mysteries, cured in centuries of blood and candle smoke? I am the least of all these pilgrims here, but I am most in need of hope. I am the least of all your children here, but I am most in need of hope.
Beautiful. Tom Russell live in the KPFT studio playing tonight over